It also means wind behind someone's back means that somebody has support, that the wind supports the boat so that the wind can move forward and can continue sailing. When someone has the wind in their sails, it also implies they have support or support system to help them to be able to move forward. Hi, this is Anita from the Dustyroads Podcast. I recently took up sailing again, and if you've read any of my blogs, you would know that I recently started taking some classes at the Milwaukee Community Sailing Center, which, by the way, if you happen to live around Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is an excellent sailing center and a great group of people to get involved with. They have one of the top sailing programs in the nation, and one of the reasons is it's just a great community center. So I was quite curious when I saw a question about what does wind behind someone's sail mean? And as I've been sailing, I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting question. That's kind of an interesting idiom where we say many times, we say, oh, he's got the wind behind someone's sail. What does that mean? So when you learn sailing, you learn that there are several points of sail, and that one thing you cannot do is you cannot sail directly into the wind. If you sail directly into the wind, it's called in irons or the no sail zone. One of the reasons why it's called in irons is in the old ships, they used to have the prisoners be in irons, and the prisoners would not be able to move. And so because of that, they would say that if you ended up sailing directly into the wind, you would be in irons. Also, too, was well known during the time of the pirates, when the pirates were roaming the seas, that many times the pirates would try to force the ships into in irons or to the no sail zone. If they could somehow force the ship to try to sail directly into the wind, the ship would stop and then they could be able to board the ship. So when you talk about wind behind someone's back in that idiom, they're really talking about one of the points of sail, which is known as a run. And a run is a point of sail where the wind is basically behind your back. You know, whenever you sail, you always have to know where the wind is. It's kind of a little bit like trying to learn to drive a car. You always have to know where the other vehicles are, what direction you're going. Well, with sailing, it's always where is the wind, what direction is the wind going. So when they talk about the wind behind your back, really means that you're on the point of sail, which is known as a run, or running, which means the wind is directly behind you. And as the wind is directly behind you, you need to bring your sails out so that your sails can catch the wind, and that then you can be able to sail forward. Here's some things that, to get the wind behind someone's back could kind of mean. When we say that, it can mean that they're moving forward, because as I mentioned before, that if you're directly into the wind, you can't move forward. You're in irons or you're in the no sail zone. So actually having the wind, behind your back, or the wind blowing from the back, is actually the opposite. You're in what's called a run or running, and you're able to move forward with your sails as long as you bring your sails out and your sails are able to catch the wind. It also means wind behind someone's back means that somebody has support, that the wind supports the boat so that the wind can move forward and can continue sailing. When someone has the wind in their sails, it also implies they have support or support system to help them to be able to move forward. It means you're sailing well. To understand that the wind is behind your back, you bring your sails out, the wind catches the sails, means that you're also sailing well. And it can also mean the same thing when we say that somebody has the wind behind their back. It means they're also living well, they're sailing well, they're moving forward, they're making progress, they're doing something in their lives because they're able to sort of catch that wind and be able to continue to move forward. It also means that you're making progress. That when we say that somebody has the wind behind their sail means that they're making progress, they're moving forward. Because when you have the wind behind you and you have your sails out and you're moving forward, you're making progress, you're moving along the water. Now, for some boats, the running or the wind behind your back may not be the fastest way to sail. So it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're going the fastest way, even though they call it running. It may not necessarily mean that. It could also mean that you're sailing along, you're making progress, you're moving along, you're doing things, you're going in the right direction. And, and with that can mean that you're moving at full speed because the wind is behind you. You're moving at the full speed with that wind that is behind you. The sailboat is not stopped. It's moving forward. Those are all the different things that when we say this idiom of wind behind someone's sail can mean that, the wind is blowing behind you and that you're pushing forward, that you're on a point of a run or running, and that you're sailing in the right direction, and that your boat or that you as an individual are moving forward. It's quite interesting that when you're sailing, that, as I mentioned before, there are different points of sail. And I just want to kind of mention them here so you understand some of the difference between what it means with the wind behind someone's sail or wind behind someone's back, or that someone's moving forward because they have the wind behind their back. As I mentioned before, the no sail zone is, when it's been considered someone's in irons. That's where you cannot sail. You're dead stopped. You cannot blow into the wind. And there's probably a bit of an analogy here that, if you try to, buckle something head on, you maybe don't get very well. That if you're going to try to, move right into trouble, you are not going to be able to get anywhere in life. That if we, do things that try to, hurt us in some way, or maybe, we say we want to go on a diet, we want to lose weight, but instead of doing that, what do? We go eat the chocolate bar, we went through the fast food restaurant. That would be kind of us, in the no sail zone or in irons, that we're basically locking ourselves in irons because we're doing something which is opposite or detrimental to what we want to do. So we can actually use that analogy of being in irons to many of our own lives, the opposite of a wind behind our sail. Close haul is when you're kind of skirting, this no sail zone. And, you pull your sails in, and a lot of times, you can go quite fast on this because the wind is quite good. So, close haul, close reach are basically when where you're sailing, kind of to the side of the wind. And then the beam reach is where the sail will go over the beam or over the boat itself, and you'll be able to catch the wind by sailing the boat where the wind is going from side to side. Broad reach is where the wind is not quite directly behind you, but it is still behind you. And then, of course, where the wind is directly behind you, as we've mentioned before, is called running, or that the wind is basically blowing in our sails from behind and able to move us forward. So really there's a lot that we can kind of analogies that we can kind of use in sailing for our own life. That if we want to be on a run, or if we want to be, what we call running, or we want to be moving forward, that we want to have that wind be, in our sails. That's the only way in sailing you'll move forward, is by the wind being in the sail. There is no other way you can move forward. If the wind is not in the sail, you will not be able to go forward. So for us to be able to move forward in life, we need to be able to get that wind in our sail, or have that wind blowing into our sails for us to move forward. If we don't want to move forward, or we're not moving forward, we're going to go into the no sail zone, or we're going to put ourselves in what is known as in irons. And once we're in irons, we won't move. The boat will just completely stop. We will be stopped dead in our tracks. And that's what it means to be in irons. So I guess some things to think about here in our own life is, what do we need to do to bring the wind into our sails? What are some things that we could do in our life to do that? And what are things we're doing in our lives to bring ourselves in irons? I love this because there's so many analogies, there's so many things we can do with different things in life, including sailing. And if you get a chance or opportunity, go out on the water, learn to sail, live your life as a global citizen, live your life to the fullest. That's what this whole blog is about living our life to the fullest and not being afraid to try something new. When I first started sailing, at first I was a little nervous. I thought, I don't know anybody. I'm going to this group I don't know. I might be the only one who's alone. I might be the oldest person. I don't know. Can I do it? I had all these reasons to stop myself. When I got to the class, I was so surprised. I was A, not the oldest. B, only 2 people in the class knew each other. The rest of us were all individuals. And then I discovered that there were some people who sail every day who were much older than me. And there was even somebody who had a cane that was getting on the sailboat all the time. Just goes to show You can live your life to the fullest. You can live your life as a global citizen. You can do whatever you want to do if you just take the opportunity to do it. And if you just get that wind behind your sails and move forward and don't have yourself be stuck in irons. Thank you so much for listening to our Dustyroads podcast. We really appreciate you. Subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear from you and love to have you be part of our community, and check out our blog about what does it mean to have the wind in your sails.